In this video, we will cover 69 Valheim tips, but each tip will get progressively less newbie, so make sure you stick around to the end. The number of the tip will be displayed in the bottom right of the screen, so let me know in the comments at which number you first learned something new. Now, it is time for you to find out how much of a Valheim noob you truly are. Number 1. The way you unlock new recipes in Valheim is by discovering new raw resources. For this reason, get in the habit of picking up all items you see on the ground, like rocks, flint, and wood, to get started. The workbench enables you to craft additional weapons and armor. Gather 3 wood and 2 stone to craft a hammer, and use the hammer to build a workbench. To interact with a workbench, it needs to be sheltered. Build walls and a roof around it to enclose and keep adding material until the workbench permits you to use it. Workbenches also have an effective range, as you will see when attempting to place your workbench or when building a structure. To build, you will need to have the required materials and be within the radius of the workbench. Unlike most survival games, you can't starve in Valheim. Rather, eating food increases your max health and stamina, increasing your survivability. Build a bed and set your spawn point. Like workbenches, your bed needs to be sheltered before you can set your spawn. Otherwise, if you die, you will spawn at the sacrificial stones where you first flew in. Beds can also be used to sleep when they have a lit fire at their side, permitting you to skip the dangers present at night. Beware of falling trees while gathering lumber in the early game. With low health, a falling tree will easily squash you. Interact with the runestone at the world spawn location. This will highlight the location of the first boss, Eikthyr, on your map. You have 3 food slots you can fill up to maximize your stats. You can't eat duplicates of any one food, so eat 3 distinct foods to maximize your health and stamina. In this case, I have cooked boar meat, raspberries, and mushrooms for my balanced diet. Meat that you gather from boars, deer, and necks need to be cooked before being edible. Build a cooking station atop a campfire and place your raw meat. Pay attention though, as if left too long, the meat will burn into coal. Raspberry bushes can be found around the meadows for raspberries, a fine early game food source. You can't replant these bushes, so you're best to remember their location and return for more berries later as they respawn after 300 minutes. Mark points of interest on your map. The map offers a series of different symbols that can be placed. Additionally, you can type in a name for the labels and cross them off when you're finished with the location. Characters you make are not restricted to specific worlds. Once created, you can jump into any available server with that character, and any item within your inventory will be taken with you. Throughout the meadows, there can be abandoned villages. In these villages, you'll often find chests with resources, berry bushes, or even wood piles you can deconstruct for quick access to wood. The fork icon on food items in your inventory indicate which stat they prioritize. Red for health foods, yellow for stamina-based foods, and white for a combination of the two. You can catch fish without a fishing rod along the coastline if they happen to wash up on shore. Simply interact with them to add them to your inventory. You can repair your damaged weapons and armor at a workbench without spending any resources. Similarly, structures can be repaired with a hammer for free, granted you have a workbench constructed in the vicinity. Weapons and armor can be upgraded at a workbench, assuming you have the required resources and the workbench is at the appropriate level. Some items require higher workbench levels to craft or upgrade them. You can upgrade your workbench to a higher level by building its corresponding enhancements nearby, such as the chopping block. Hostile creatures are more likely to spawn at night, so beware when the sunlight fades. Sources of light repel certain creatures, so building a torch or standing by a lit campfire are good ways to stay safe after sunset. You can even dual wield a torch and a weapon to combat the creatures while also scaring them away. You can toggle friendly fire on or off in your menus. Friendly fire can affect other players in your server, as well as any creatures that you may have tamed. Before crafting many of the shields, you can change the style. The wooden shield, for example, has 4 different style options to choose from. Pick the one that best suits you. When destroying or deconstructing existing structures, they drop their full building cost value of resources. Granted, they were at 100% durability when deconstructed. You will likely encounter beehives in structures across the meadows. Destroy the beehive to get a queen bee. The queen bee will allow you to craft your own friendly beehive, providing you a source of honey. No cliffs are too steep to climb, but you do have limited stamina, which will drain quickly while climbing steep slopes. Use rocks along the incline to rest and restore your stamina before continuing your climb. Crafting a hoe enables you to terraform the earth. Flatten or raise earth to your liking. You can also raise earth to make earthen walls to protect you from invading creatures. Every character has a set of skills they can increase, which you can easily look up in your menus. To increase these, you simply need to perform that action. For instance, if you want to improve your jump skill, jump. You can crouch to enter a sneak mode. While sneaking, you can creep up behind creatures undetected and deal bonus backstab damage to unsuspecting creatures. Deer can be killed without a bow by either sneaking up behind them or by throwing your spear at them. The presence of a workbench provides 2 additional benefits in that enemies will not spawn within its radius and any items you drop on the ground will not despawn. Beware of the rain, as any wooden structures you build not concealed by a roof will deteriorate while raining. The color of the structure will change to reflect its loss in durability. You make noise by doing things like jumping and chopping to attract nearby enemies, but the click and clank of mining especially draws them out. While swimming, if you run out of stamina, you will begin to drown, losing a few HP every second until you reach shore. After crafting a bow, you can also craft arrows to launch at your enemies. Arrows lose elevation over distance and go slightly left of where you aim. To fire accurately, aim slightly to the right and above your target. Arrows can be resource intensive in the early game, especially feathers for better arrows. You can press the block button to release a pulled back arrow rather than fire it should you lose sight of your target. The accuracy, damage, and velocity of the shot arrow is increased the longer you hold onto the draw button, but remember, you use stamina to draw back and hold an arrow. You can parry attacks while timing your blocks precisely. When successfully parried, you will hear a sound indicating as such, and the creature will reel backwards. Quickly hitting a parried enemy does bonus damage. Keep in mind, you can also parry projectiles, such as rocks thrown by Grey Dwarfs. If you see an enemy with stars next to their names, expect a tougher fight, as they will have additional health and, if hostile, will do additional damage. They can have 1 or even 2 stars. However, the more stars, the more resources the defeated creature will drop. Deer drop deer trophies. You will need 2 of these to summon the Meadows boss at the Forsaken Altar. Cut down trees in heavily wooded areas so they have a chance on falling on other trees and causing a chain reaction of tumbling trees. This will accelerate your wood gathering. You can even strategically knock down trees to fall on either oak or birch trees. Once a birch or oak tree log is on the ground, push beech tree logs into it to slowly break it down, providing you early fine wood, which is typically not obtainable until you reach the Bronze Age. Turn down the vegetation settings in your menus. This will allow you to more easily see resources on the ground, like these mushrooms. Using your tools like your axe from higher elevation does more damage than at lower elevations. When taking to the seas, don't worry about falling off your boat. If you do happen to fall, your boat will immediately stop moving, allowing you to safely climb back aboard. Across the world, you will come across existing structures. Build a workbench nearby and use a hammer to deconstruct the buildings. This can serve as a nice early method for getting additional resources. As you might know, beehives can be dangerous in the early game.
Give me them booze.
Oh, ow, shit. Am I gonna die in here? Oh my god, I'm stuck in here. I have no stamina to get out. To acquire the queen bee safely, you can deconstruct the structure supporting the hive to destroy from a distance, or simply use a projectile like a bow. To accelerate your cooking, you can place multiple cooking stations over a single campfire. Once you defeat a boss, take the trophy back to your original spawn and place it on their corresponding sacrificial stone. At this point, you can grab and activate their Forsaken power for unique and powerful buffs. Most weapons have a secondary attack by using your middle mouse button to attack, like the ability to throw a spear. However, even with your fists, you can do a secondary attack, which is a kick.
This is Sparta!
Viking graves can sometimes be hard to spot, but they are denoted by a rock formation in the shape reflecting the outline of a ship. Dig in these locations to find a chest with valuables and the chance of finding bone fragments. Bone fragments and potentially valuable gems can also be found inside simple rock formations such as these scattered across the meadows. Every 46 minutes, there is a chance a raid can occur at your location. A red circle will appear on your minimap and a timer will start. To keep the timer running, you must stay within the red circle fighting waves of enemies. The initial event is simple, with only boars and necks to fight off. The types of enemies attacking in these raids will vary as you progress the game, as will the duration in which you need to fight within the red circle. When you die, a tombstone will spawn at the location containing your inventory at time of death. After retrieving your inventory, you will receive the corpse run effect, assisting your retreat from your death location. While this buff is active, you gain minus 70% jump and overall stamina usage. You receive the very resistant status to blunt, slash, and pierce damage. You gain 10 health healing per second and an increased carrying weight of 150. You can get a massive boost in the rested buff by sitting by a fire for 20 seconds, granted you are not under the wet effect. This buff provides you with 50% increased health regeneration, 100% increased stamina regeneration, and 50% increased XP gain, or a base duration of 8 minutes. Rolling in Valheim gives you iframes. As you learn to master enemies' attacks, you can time your rolls, gaining brief invulnerability to dodge through their attacks. Campfires require ventilation. Without ventilation, they will not be able to maintain a flame, and you can potentially take smoke inhalation damage if allowing smoke to collect in your home. Build a chimney to solve this problem. The difficulty of the creatures you fight scales with the number of players within 200 meters of the enemy. They will have more health and deal 4% additional damage per player within that 200 meter radius. You can apply a stagger effect to enemies by either successfully parrying them or breaking their stagger threshold. An enemy's health and their unique stagger limits are factors in determining when a creature is staggered. You will get a feel for different creatures' stagger limits as you continue to do battle with them. I should note that you yourself can also be staggered. Having higher health increases your stagger bar, limiting your susceptibility to being staggered. Hitting or being hit while staggered does increased damage. Different enemies can have different damage modifiers, making them weak or strong to elements of damage. For instance, the Greyling is very weak to fire, taking 2 times damage from the fire element. Another unique way to catch deer is using the cooking station method, often used by speedrunners. Equip a hammer and select the cooking station crafting recipe. Chase a deer, building a station in their path to stop them and give them a smack. Corewood, for the most part, can only be found from pine trees in the Black Forest, chopped down with a bronze axe. However, if you find structures like these, you can get corewood early. Build a workbench nearby and deconstruct these structures with a hammer. This wood is a key ingredient in the finewood bow, as well as an ingredient in the stag breaker hammer. To increase the duration of the rested effect buff, you can build a roof over the fire to gain the sheltered effect and increase the comfort level of the room by building furniture near the fire. The higher the comfort, the longer the duration of the buff. Early furniture like the bed will increase the comfort level. I have a full guide on the rested effect buff, so you're welcome to check that out following this video. When building a structural piece with your hammer, the built piece will be highlighted with a color. Blue being a foundational piece, meaning it is connected to ground with 100% stability. Green meaning it is stable. Yellow meaning less stable. Orange even less stable. And finally red meaning unstable. Any piece built onto a red piece will immediately break. There is a good chance you will come across a circle of massive stones like these. The Valheim development team originally had plans for functionality around these stones, but were never included in the game. That said, they can still serve as a strong location for an early base. These stones are indestructible, and you can build a foundational building piece at their peak, allowing you to build a nice elevated starting base, safe from the creatures that walk the ground. Instead of picking up your tombstones, you can use them as extra storage. You can maintain the tombstone permanently if you never interact with it while having available space in your inventory. There are 3 major physical damage types in Valheim, with each weapon doing one or potentially multiple of them. Slash, like from this axe, and pierce or blunt, like applied by the stag breaker. Some enemies are more or less susceptible to each of them. Inspect your weapon to understand which of these damage types your weapon does. The color of damage you do to an enemy indicates how effective the damage type you are doing is to that creature, like on this Greyling. Gray indicates the creature is resistant to the damage type you are doing, like the poison from my poison arrows. White indicates the creature is neither resistant or weak to that damage, like the slash damage from my axe. And finally, yellow indicates the creature is weak to that type of damage, like the fire from my torch. You will get a feel for an enemy's strengths and weaknesses as you play, or you're welcome to look these up on a wiki. An icon will appear above an enemy's head, indicating their awareness of your presence. This is particularly important when sneaking, demonstrated with this boar. First, no indicator above their head, meaning they are unaware of your presence. Second, a yellow icon, meaning they are aware of you but unsure of your exact location. And finally, a red exclamation mark, meaning you have been detected and your location is known. If you have found wood and core wood early, you can craft the stag breaker hammer. You can use the attack of this hammer to excavate hidden treasure at Viking graves without breaking the ground. While smashing the ground, you'll see a lot of zeros as the stag breaker can't damage earth. However, it does area of effect damage, so if you do find the right spot, you will see damage numbers pop up like seen on screen. When you finally see numbers, keep slamming away, and eventually you will destroy the chest beneath the surface to get its riches. Now that you know how much of a Valheim noob you are, consider expanding your knowledge by checking out my full guide to the maximizing of your rested buff, or my full guide to the Meadows biome on screen now. Thanks for watching.